Today's review is something a bit different. This is a pastry sour. I think it's probably the first pastry sour we've had on the channel. But this has got apple, cinnamon. It's got all things good in it. But what's it going to taste like? Keep on watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Now, a year ago, I was reviewing an apple pecan maple sour beer from Vault City up in Edinburgh. And it's literally a year to the day that I'm now reviewing another sour beer. But this is a pastry sour. It's by Pastore. It's called Carlotta Di Mele. It's a 6% pastry sour. And basically it says spice apple, vanilla, smooth oat body, light acidity. That's the description of it. So we're obviously getting something, we're going to get something very similar, sort of apple, cinnamon, Christmassy, sort of apple pie, that sort of flavours. And from what I understand, these guys, they know how to make a good pastry sour. So let's crack this beer open, get it in a glass, see what it's all about. I'm interested to see this sort of apple, cinnamon, vanilla. Yeah, it sounds pretty good on the can, but whether it translates to a nice tasting beer is another thing. Let's just give that a better pour. So, beer in a glass, pretty light, very sort of yellowy. I mean, it looks pretty much like a New England sort of pale, basically. We've got one finger, very compacted white head. You can see that they're very compacted. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see what the aromas are like. Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, it smells quite much. It's very similar to like a cider. So you're getting that big hits of apple. And you're getting that sort of sour, sort of that sweet and sour sort of aroma as well on the sort of, on the nose. It's almost that sourness is very sort of, that real sourness is almost overwhelming the actual apple aroma. Well, it smells pretty good. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers, everyone. Oh, that's a real sour hit, that beer. Oh, if you've ever had like fizzy cola bottles or Tang Fastics or Sour Patch Kids, all of those sort of sour sweets, that's what you're getting with this. I mean, it's overwhelming, the sourness of it. You know, with the likes of Vault City, the sourness is a little bit subtle. Now, I'm big fans of sour beer, and I admit I'm not the massive fan. I've not had enough of them, really. You know, they probably think, oh, well, there's not enough big sour kick. But this one has got a massive sour kick. It's got quite a bit of prickly carbonation, which, you know, is not ideal, I think, you know, something like this. I want it a little bit smooth, a little bit creamy. I'm not really getting that. So you get those big sour, and to be honest, what it tastes like is, you know, those sort of those boiled sweets, like I think they're called rosy apples. They're sort of apple, sort of like apple and sugary and sour sort of flavour. Is exactly what you're getting here. I'm not picking up much in terms of cinnamon. I'm not picking up the vanilla, that creaminess. It's got this apple cider vinegar sort of flavour almost. It's quite harsh. It's not smooth. It's much harsher than a cider, basically, an apple cider. But it's that sourness that's just so strong, so overwhelming in terms of flavour. You get that sort of hit of apple, and then bang, sourness just washes over everything else. And you're not really picking up any sort of creamy vanilla. You're not picking up the sort of the spiciness of the, you know, what's the flavour? You know, like the cinnamon and those sort of flavours. What does this say? It says apple charlotte pastry sour, fermented with our local culture, conditioned on apple, apricot, cinnamon. Yeah, I mean, you're getting a little bit of spice, but it's difficult to really determine that it's cinnamon in there. yeah, it's an interesting one, this one. I think certainly it's a fantastic palate cleanser. Because it's, as much as the sourness is quite big in that flavour, it's not, there's nothing harsh or artificial. There's no sort of that weird sweetness. It's just got a really lip puckering sourness that really sort of cleans that palate, really. I think they probably want it a little bit more subtle, and then some of those apple and maybe the cinnamon and the sort of vanilla-y, custardy sort of flavour that you want, the apple pie and custard, to come through. But the sourness is such a big hit, it almost washes that away. And as I say, the carbonation is very prickly with that sourness. I think you need to get that. I mean, that's why it's like fizzy cola bowls. It's very much got that sort of sensation when you drink it. It's not bad. The flavours are quite balanced in terms of, you're getting apples and you're getting sourness, a little bit of spice in there, a little bit of those apricots as well coming in terms of the other fruit flavours. But for me, I think the carbonation dialed back a little bit, the sourness dialed back a little bit, and it would be a really lovely drink. But at the moment, it's a little bit, too harsh for me. Both the carbonation and the sourness, just a little bit too harsh. But if you like your sours on your sour side, you know, no sort of misunderstanding that this is a sour beer, and you want that lip smackingness about it, then this is spot on. I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, look at the colour of that. It's a lovely sort of yellowy colour, almost custardy. It looks, you know, the mouth, you expect it to be a bit thicker and creamier, but it isn't. Again, all that prickly sort of sweet and sourness and carbonation, really, that I think I want it dialed back a bit. Not bad, but let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Pastore Carlotta Di Mele, or just Di Mele. It's a pastry sour, 6%. Yeah, it's a very sour beer, pretty much. We'll go through the scores though. So firstly, aroma. So when you first sort of smell it, you get a big hit of apples, and you know, that sort of apples. It's because you've got that sort of sourness that you can smell in the aroma. It's almost a little bit like a sort of, you know, apple cider vinegar, more than a sort of cider. But there's definitely lots of apples in there as well. Quite sweet, obviously, and smells pretty good. And you're getting, the taste buds are sort of going, and you're looking forward to what it's going to taste like. So I'm going to get 14 for aroma. Appearance, well, I mean, obviously with a sour beer, you don't usually get much of a head. There's no head, but it's a lovely looking colour on that. It's it's a very sort of light yellow golden colour. I think it looks pretty good. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour wise, well, there's no mistaking this is a sour beer. When you first taste it, you get the apple, but you get that big sour here, and it is a little bit vinegary in terms of that sort of flavour. And then you get little pockets of sweetness coming in, and there's quite a little bit of prickly carbonation. It's quite smooth, but at the same time it's quite carbonated. I think if it was a little bit less carbonated, it'd be a lot better. You're picking up a little bit of spice, but it's not easy to determine that the cinnamon, and there is a sweeter sort of stone fruity sort of apricot flavour as well that's definitely in that. But the sourness is the big flavour, really. It almost overwhelms the apple, the apricot, the spice from the cinnamon. You're not because it's so predominant, you're not really picking up the cream. What you want is a creamy sort of base on it, like because it's a pastry sour, that pine apple pie, the custard bit part of it, the vanilla part of it. But you're not really picking that because the carbonation is prickly and the sourness is very harsh. But it certainly cleans the palate off. You could drink this after having a stout and then going, yeah, I could probably drink pale ale now. it's something quite cleansing about it, you know. It's smooth at the same time as it being prickly in the carbonation. And you want to get more of those flavours, and maybe, you know, it probably would be better if it was a little bit less cooler than I've got it here. You know, I don't know. You know, let me know in the comments what you think in terms of the proper temperature to drink a sour beer at. This has been out a while, but it's still quite cool, and I just wonder if those flavours will mellow if it was a bit warmer, as it were. But I'm going to get 31 for flavour. Value for money. I can't remember. I think this was over a £5, so it's 6%, 4.40. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nice flavours in this. It's not the sort of, you know, there's as much as the sourness is quite harsh. You know, I've had sours from supermarket beers that have this artificial sweetness, and this hasn't got that. So I'm giving it a solid 7 for value, I think. And my overall experience, well, is it up there with Vault City? No, I don't think so. Certainly that apple, pecan, maple was tremendous beer, and it's the benchmark that any sort of appley, sour sort of beers need to sort of put themselves up. Any sort of pie-like beers need to put themselves up against, and it falls short. It's not as smooth. It's too sour. That is prickly in terms of the carbonation. That one was creamy and smooth, and it was like drinking a smoothie in terms of the sort of mouthfeel. It was really good. But at the same time, there's something a little bit refreshing about this. I think this is a sort of beer, when you see a pastry sour, you think, oh, it's pie-like, and you think it's going to be thick and gloopy and heavy, but it's quite light, and it's quite refreshing in its sourness. So maybe at this time of the year, not what I was expecting for December. I was expecting something a little bit warming, a little bit more sort of creamy. But maybe in the summer, it's, you know, it's like drinking a cider where you want that refreshment, that cuttingness that just cuts through any sort of other flavours or that you may have, you know, food that you've eaten beforehand or other beers that you've had. It really cuts through that, really cleanses the sort of palate. So I'm going to get 13 for overall. It's not bad, but it's not probably what I expected, really. So we top those scores out, we get a respectable 73 out of 100. So it's a recommended beer, not highly recommended, just recommended. White Snake beer. You gotta slip it in slow and easy. Slip of the tongue there. Slide it in slow and easy even. It's not a bad beer. You're getting the apple, you're getting that refreshment, but you're not getting the creamy pie pastry element of it. But worth a try. If you've had this, let me know what you think in the comments. If you've had other beers from Pastore, I know they make a lot of sour type beers. I think that's what their sort of their key core product is. Yeah, let me know. I don't drink many sours. It's not really one that I go for. I would have wanted to buy some Vault City ones leading up to Christmas, but for whatever reason I haven't. But let me know, if you had a Vault City one recently, what's your best one? What's out at the moment that's really good that I should be trying in the new year? So I hope you enjoyed this review. If you're watching this just before Christmas or around about Christmas, then Merry Christmas to you all. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And obviously, if you do enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. And until the next one, keep on rocking.